There. Here we go. Okay. Section 1.2b. All right. We have a circle. And yesterday or last time we were here, we talked about radians. Okay. So a radian is the length of one radius of the circle. What is going on? I can't change colors. Come on. There we go. Draw. Color change. Okay. So if the radius is this long, which is also this long, this is a 1 radian circle. Okay? Now, what if we have a circle and we have like a 84-degree angle right here. And I want to know this distance right here. Okay? I want to know that distance. And I know my circle has a radius of 3 centimeters. How many centimeters is it out here? Now, it wouldn't have to be in radian measure or anything like that. I want to find this distance of this arc. Well, when you find a distance of an arc, okay, that's called arc length. Now, an arc length is part of the what of the circle? Okay, what's the distance around the outside of a circle called? Circumference. So an arc length is part of a circumference. How much of a circumference? Well, in geometry, we learned that arc length was equal to the central angle divided by 360 degrees times the circumference formula, which is 2 pi r. Okay? So, since this problem has degrees as a central angle, we're going to use the geometry formula for arc length. So for this circle, arc length equals 84 over 360 times 2 pi r. Now, calculadora, por favor. Take 84 divided by 360 times 2 times pi times 3. And you're going to get a decimal because pi is a decimal number. And 84 over 360 is a crazy fraction. So what do we get as a decimal? And I don't want an exact terms of pi. I want a rounded answer to like 2 decimal places to the nearest hundredth. What do we get? 84 divided by 360 times 2 times pi times 3. So it should be like 4 point something, I think. 4.40. Thank you. 4.40 centimeters. That's how far it is from here to here. Okay? All right, that's the geometry formula for arc length. In trig, the formula is even easier for arc length. Because in trig, if we want to find the distance from here to say about here, and our central angle is like pi over 2, and our radius is like 8, arc length in geometry in trig is equal to the central angle, which we call alpha, times the radius. So it's just alpha r. That's all it is. So we just take 8 times pi over 2, or 2 pi over 2 times 8, I should say, if I want to go in the right order, not to confuse you. Pi over 2 times 8 which gives us 4 pi. Now, if you are told to leave it in terms of pi, there you go. If you're told to round it to the nearest tenth, 4 times pi is like 12.56, I think. If this is in centimeters, 12.56 centimeters. Okay? Arc length. That's the distance around part of the circle. Because the distance around the whole circle is the circumference, 2 pi r. But if you go in part way, it's the arc length. Sector area. How big is a slice of pie? How big is this? Okay. Now, let's say again, this is like let's say it's a 75-degree angle. So if we have a 75-degree angle, and this is 6 centimeters, how big is this area? Well, in geometry, it's like the last geometry formula we had. The central area, sector area, equals the central angle divided by 360 times the area of a circle, because this is a percentage of the circle. So we just take it times the area of the circle formula, which is pi r squared. So in this case, the area of this triangular shaped pie piece is 75 over 360 times pi times 6 squared. So again, on your calculator, take 75 divided by 360, and then take that times pi times that times 6 squared, which is 36. So 36 pi is like probably about 112, 115, somewhere in there. 75 over 360, yeah, that makes it, 28-ish, something in there. I don't know. I'm just guessing right off the top of my head. So 75 over 360 times pi times 36. What do we get? What did you get, Dale? 23.56. You agree with him, Mason? All right, 23.56 centimeters squared. Okay. Now in trig, to find sector area, the formula is the area is our central angle times our radius squared divided by 2. Our central angle times radius squared divided by 2, right? I think that's what it is. Yeah. So, another example. So let's say our central angle was 5 pi over 6, and our radius is 12. Well, we take 5 pi over 6 times 12 squared and divide it by 2. Well, what's 12 squared? 144. It's a gross number. So it's 144 divided by 2. 144 goes into 6 24 times, I think. 24 goes into 2 12 times. 12 times 5 is 60. So it's like 60 pi. Capiche? Okay. So the formulas for sector area and arc length are on the board for you. Okay. So let's just do a few more problems, make sure we understand this, and when to use which formula. Now, if you see radians, use the trig formula. If they say the length of the arc intercepted by the central angle, that's arc length. Okay? So to find arc length, you do the trig formula. Well, the trig formula for arc length, which is S, arc length is S, equals pi over 8 times 128. Well, 8 goes into 128, 1, and it goes in 12, but no, I'm wrong. Goes into 12 one time, 48 left over, 6 times with a pi involved. It says type an exact answer in terms of pi. So this would be 16 pi. Correct? Okay. Now it's the length of an arc. So arc length. If it's in degrees, you use geometry. So it's 12 over 360 times 2 times pi times 75. Now it says this time round to 3 decimal places. So that's when you use your calculator. Punch the numbers in. Do we have to even work through the problem? No, you can get that on your own. Okay, so that's arc length. This one, arc length, does it have degrees or radians? If it has no label, it is radians. So we have to use the trig formula, which is just 4.2 times 112. And that's all you do. Just multiply them on your calculator. Okay? If it's degrees, okay? If it's degrees, then you have to figure it out. Now, this one, number 5, says find the radius of the circle. Okay? You're not finding arc length, find the radius. Well, what's the formula? Well, if we're using degrees, arc length, S, equals x over 360 times 2 pi r. So 8 equals 36 over 360 times 2 pi r, because we're looking for the radius. 36 over 360 is 1 over 10, so 8 equals 1/10 times 2 pi r. If we multiply by 10 on each side, 80 equals 2 pi r. Divide by 2, 40 equals pi r, and divide by pi. So the radius equals 40 divided by pi, which is like 11 or 12 or something like that. Okay, I want to know really quick. I just scroll down to number 5. It is 12.73. Okay, so you'll have a couple of them where you have to find the radius, where you have to work backwards. Now, if it's a trig problem where you're working backwards, super easy. S equals alpha r. So 900 equals pi over 5 times the radius. So you multiply by 5, 4,500 equals pi r, and divide by pi. You take 4,500 divided by pi on your calculator, because it round to 1 decimal place it asks for. Okay, sector area. What formula would I use here? Trig or geometry? Geometry, because it's in degrees. 60 over 360 times pi r squared. 60 over 360 is 1/6 times 144 pi. 6 goes into 144 24 times, I think. So it's 24 pi. Okay. This one, it's trig. So we have to say the sector area is alpha r squared over 2. So it's pi over 3 times 576 divided by 2. I don't know how to do that in my head. You can use a calculator to figure it out. but it says type an exact answer. So that you take 576 divided by 3, whatever that is, divide that by 2. Okay, then we get to the word problems. If the angle is 31 degrees, find the distance between two cities labeled A and B if the radius of the Earth is 4,000 miles. Okay, so we're looking for arc length, not sector area, because we're looking for the distance this way. So the arc length, S, equals the angle divided by 360 times 2 pi r. Okay, and just use your calculator, multiply it out. Okay, find the area of one slice if it's cut into 6 equal slices. Well, how many degrees are there in a pizza? 360 degrees. If we divide it into 6 equal slices, how big is each slice? 60 degrees. So to find the area of one slice is 60 degrees divided by 360 degrees times pi r squared. Well, if the diameter is 17, what's the radius? 8.5 inches squared. Okay, and just do the math. Okay, so there will be 10 problems, not super difficult. You guys can handle it. That's your only homework for the weekend. No quiz yet. We'll hit a quiz next week.